Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timmy Treacle, and today I'm giving you my top 10 favorite horror movie franchises. Now, this was a tough list to narrow down, but I believe these 10, most of you will agree with probably a handful of these, but regardless, I love these 10, but I do have some honorable mentions I want to breeze through real quick. And that is the Child's Play franchise, Children of the Corn, Hatchet, the uh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, um, Annabelle. Even though there's only 2 movies, there will be more. The Grudge, Jaws, and Tremors. All great horror franchises. Just couldn't make my top 10, but what did make my top 10 is number 10, and that is Resident Evil franchise. Yes, I just recently watched the final installment of the Resident Evil franchise. Um, all 6 of those movies made a lot of money, and the series itself made over $1 billion. I mean, it's just crazy. And this is the most successful movie franchise based on a video game of all time. And this all started back in 2002, and we got the 6th and final film in 2016. Although I hear rumblings that they may be making some more movies. And Mila Djokovic, to me, is badass in these movies. I love her as Alice. She's one of the best final girls in movies. And yeah, the Resident Evil franchise, I know there's love-hate for that franchise, especially after the first couple. But I love them all, and I love this franchise. Coming in number 9 is Scream. Yes, Scream. Oh my lord. Wes Craven's masterpiece. The first movie, I remember when it came out in 1996. It is just phenomenal. And to start the movie off with my favorite actress of all time, Drew Barrymore, is great. I love her. She's done some great movies in the past, especially when she was a child. Firestarter is one of my favorites. Of course, E.T. But yeah, the Scream franchise. Now, there's only 4 in the franchise. If I had to do a quick ranking of them, number 3 would be my least favorite. Then it would go number 1, then number 4, and then number 2. Number 2 is my favorite in the franchise, although number 1 is classic and everything, but that's just my opinion. But I love the franchise as a whole. I think it's really good. And yeah, number 9. Coming number 8 is the Evil Dead franchise. And that includes just the first 2 movies of the original series. I did not like Army of Darkness. I thought that was a dumb movie. But I do like the 2013 remake. But as a franchise, I enjoy the movies. Army of Darkness is my least favorite. I really didn't like that movie. But overall, it's a great franchise and definitely worth a top 10 spot, in my opinion. Coming number 7 is probably a horror franchise that a lot of other people are familiar with, or probably haven't even seen just but one of the movies. And that is the Wrong Turn franchise. Yes, the Wrong Turn franchise deals with cannibals in Virginia, and the first movie stars Eliza Dushku, and her friends are stranded, and they start getting picked off one by freaking cannibals. And it's a gruesome movie, but there's some great kills, and the hillbillies are badass in these movies. The second movie is by far the best in the franchise. Henry Rollins in the second movie is badass. But yeah, this franchise as a whole, with the exception of the last movie, which the last movie was okay. Um, I really wish they would have just stuck with what was working. Um, 4 and 5, I believe, are prequels to the first one. But regardless, this is a great franchise with great kills, and yeah, I love it. I binge watched all these movies because they were on Xfinity on demand, and I was in the mood to watch the first one, and not knowing that they had sequels, I was really excited. So in one day, I watched all the movies, and I was hooked. I love the franchise, so definitely check it out. Coming number 6 is the Final Destination franchise. Yes, oh my lord, I love all these movies. My least favorite would be Part 4, but I love the franchise. The best part about these movies is how are people gonna die in these movies, and I love seeing the premonitions first, um, so we kind of get an idea of what's going on. But I love the characters. Um, Most people would say the first movie is the best in the franchise. In my opinion, the second movie is the best in the franchise. It has the best opening scene in any of the movies. It has the best premonition. It has the best kills, and I just love it. And I even love, if I was to put them in order, it would go from a least favorite to my favorite. It would go 4, then 3, then 1, then 5, then 2. The prequel, Part 5, is freaking awesome. It's got great kills in that one too, and it's got a great premonition too. Um, and it's a great tie-in to the first movie. But I hear they're making a 6th one, and I cannot wait. I hope it is true. I want to see more. Coming number 5, it's not technically a franchise yet. For me, a franchise has to have at least 3 movies or a trilogy, but these 2 movies are working themselves into a great horror franchise, and that is the Conjuring franchise, or soon-to-be franchise. The first 2 movies are phenomenal. I think the second one is better than the first one. I love the characters. The second movie freaked me out, but I love these movies, and technically, even though it's not, in my opinion, a franchise yet because they don't have a 3rd movie, I am putting it in there because I know they're going to make a 3rd movie, and I'm hoping they continue this with at least 3 or 4 more movies, if not more. The Conjuring universe is great. Even the Annabelle, which was on my honorable mentions, some people didn't like the first movie, but the prequel is freaking phenomenal. I enjoyed the first movie as well. Definitely not as good as the prequel, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. Just the fact that it's a creepy doll creeps me out. But yeah, Conjuring number 5, fantastic. Number 4, we're getting to the point where 3 of my next 4 are going to be gimmies. It's going to be on most people's list. And number 4 is the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Part 1, 1984, is a classic. It's flawless. It's awesome. I love it. Heather Langenkamp, Johnny Depp. I mean, it's a great, great franchise. Well, it's not the greatest franchise. I only like 4 of the movies. Well, 4 of the original movies and the remake. So overall, I like majority of the movies. Freddy's Revenge Part 2, I did not like. I think it's the worst in the franchise. I don't like the Final Nightmare, and I don't like the last movie in the franchise. I just don't think they're that good of movies. Now, number 2 is, like I said, is the worst movie in the franchise, in my opinion. Some would disagree, but you know, that's their opinion. But yeah, number 2 is just god awful. I think they rushed the movie, just threw something together so they can stay competing with the other horror franchises that were making, you know, multiple films in the 80s. But yeah, still a great franchise. Number 3 is Saw. Yes, I love. Ever since I seen the first movie, I was hooked. The first movie, in my opinion, has the best ending in almost any horror movie out there. You can't tell me that the whole entire time they're locked in that room, and the gentleman's laying on the floor with his supposedly with his brain splattered all over the place, that you didn't think in a million years that he was going to hop up and walk out of that room. That to me is the most shocking point in a horror movie ever. I loved it. I remember the first time seeing it, I was just blown away. And I think the movies get better as they go on because there's more twists and turns. There's new characters. You know, you think they're a good guy, they turn out to be a bad guy. And then the final movie I watched in the original franchise ties back to the first movie. And then the new one that came out, Jigsaw, I love these movies. People call them torture porn movies. I don't agree with that. They're just a straight up horror movie. And if you want to call it a torture horror movie, that's fine. But I mean, come on. These movies, it's just a movie. And I want to see what people are going to do in their situations, how they're going to get out of it. And that's the best part. It's the same thing with the Final Destination franchise. You know, how are they going to get killed is what people liked about the franchise. Same thing with the Saw. I want to know how they're going to get out of that situation. Another perfect example, the movie The Shallows. She's trapped on that rock. She's about, she's a few hundred feet from the beach. You know, how's she going to get off that rock when the shark is circling? That's what I love about the Saw movies. How are they going to get out of that situation without killing themselves? But yeah, number 3, Saw, great franchise. Coming to number 2 is the Halloween franchise. Some people probably would have this at the number 1, but if you know me, you know what my number 1 is. But Halloween is a great franchise. The only movies I don't like is the piece of crap number 3 and the god-awful piece of shit known as Resurrection. I cannot stand that movie. And then Season of the Witch, even though it is a standalone movie, I don't like the fact that it's called Halloween 3. If they were just to call it Season of the Witch or Halloween Season of the Witch, that's fine, but don't include it into the Michael Myers franchise. And that pissed a lot of people off, and that's why they brought Michael Myers back. Same thing in Friday the 13th. They tried getting rid of the main character, and it just doesn't work. Stick with what works, guys. Do not change anything up. But Halloween, of course, the first 2 movies and the originals are my favorite. I also love 4 and 5, The Curse and H2O. And I like the first remake with Rob Zombies. And I like the second remake, but the only thing I don't like about that is the whole ghost story with the horse and his mom and his younger version of himself being ghosts. I didn't like that. I don't think it needed to be in the movie. I think if they would have kept that out of the movie and just stuck with Michael Myers and him just messing people up, I would have enjoyed it even more. But still, the number 2 remake for Rob Zombie is still not as bad as 3 Season of the Witch or Resurrection. I mean, give me a break. And my number 1 horror franchise of all time is, if you know me, you know what it is. If you don't, you're going to know it because it's Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th is the franchise I grew up watching first, even before Halloween. And I remember the first movie because Kevin Bacon, of course, and you got Adrienne King, who's a great final girl. She's not the greatest in the franchise. She's not my favorite of all time, but she is one of the best. And Kevin Bacon, this whole cast is great in this movie, the first movie. And you really care about these characters and what happens. But the franchise as a whole, the Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell are the eyesores. I think the first 8 movies are just fine. The first 4 are flawless. They're the best. If they would have just stuck with those 4 movies, I think it'd been perfect. But they came out with part 5, which is more of a dark comedy horror, which I did find enjoyment out of it. Number 6, they brought Jason back and his badass. CJ Graham in number 6 is badass, and I love it. I love number 7 because Tina finally gets to fuck Jason up in that movie. And Jason Takes Manhattan, I do have a guilty pleasure for it because I like some of the kills. I really wish, though, they would have taken Jason to Manhattan a lot sooner, but because of budget restraints, they were only able to do it for the pretty much last act of the movie because it was so expensive to tape in New York City. But regardless, we got 8 Friday the 13th movies in the 10-year span of the 1980s. We got 8 of them. It's just crazy. But Jason Goes to Hell, I was disappointed because we only saw Jason at the beginning and end of the movie. I know what they were trying to do. And even though they went from Paramount to New Line Cinema, they couldn't use the Friday the 13th for the name of the film. That's why they had to go with Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. But I really wish they just would have stuck with what works. If you wanted to blow Jason up, that's fine. And the whole movie is where that little alien, if he is reborn into a Voorhees, then he comes back as Jason. He just jumps from body to body until he finds a Voorhees. I wish they would have went that route. But because I went to the theater in 1993 and seen that. Me and my family were on vacation during that time. But it was okay. And then Jason X, there's one great kill in that movie, but he's in space, for Pete's sakes. I didn't like that. If you wanted to destroy Earth 1 and then go to Earth 2 and then have them travel, but eventually get on Earth 2, that would have been fine. But the whole fact that it started and stayed on a spaceship, it just wasn't good. So, but there you have it. There's my top 10 favorite horror franchises. So tell me in the comment section below, give me some of your favorite horror franchises of all time. And did you agree with my list? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon, and let's talk about movies. Horror movies doesn't matter. I love all genres. I love movies in general. I do top 10s, rankings, and I also will be talking about my favorite TV shows here in the coming weeks. So, and don't forget to share these videos with family and friends. And other than that, I thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time at the next top 10. Check you later.